I think attitudes in the workplace will change dramatically. I really do.
Today, men and women work together in what is sometimes an uneasy truce.
It's a very, very sensitive place for men these days because they know what not to do, but they don't know what to do.
The challenge now is to take gender issues beyond simple justice and towards improved communication, collaboration, and productivity.
It can be equal, it can be different, it can even be better. But we have to let go of that sense of there's only one way, one path, straight line, or else we're in trouble.
Hello, I'm Hal Calbum. This program is about culture, communication, and collaboration, exploring ways men and women can become better partners at work. During our lifetimes, most of us develop two identities: our sense of self, our individuality, and that other social self that is shaped by our roles and relationships. We are both private and public people. Historically, women and men have recreated and procreated together, but we've worked apart, the men making wages and wars, the women making homes and families. Today, our workplaces are changing. In the next 10 years, 2/3 of the new entrants to our workforce will be female. 6 of 10 couples will be working couples. Our private and public lives are no longer neatly segregated. Men and women working together today are also working to invent the new workplace. In this program, we'll look at 3 things that can make that new workplace a better partnering place for men and women. They're the 3 C's. Culture is what shapes our perceptions and habits. Communication skills help bridge those culture gaps. And better collaboration is the payoff.
As long as we say it's the male style or the female style, we're in trouble. And the problem is the either or. It doesn't matter what's on either side of this. So it is like anything else. It's the gray area. It's the balance.
Workplace collaboration means men and women learning from, inspiring, and motivating each other.
When I first started in business, the joke was for women that women had to work twice as hard to prove themselves.
It's in the workplace that our different cultures meet, merge, intermingle, and often clash.
I had first gotten into sales, and the then owner's wife, every time she would come in, even though I was in sales and trying to do well, being an account executive, and I was the top biller at the time, every time she would come in, she would say, "Oh, this is Jan Blackburn. This is Bobby's secretary."
Jan says she still gets stereotyped, even now, and she owns the place. But there's another bit of typecasting to consider here, too. This was a woman-to-woman comment. So obviously, it isn't just men who stereotype women, and vice versa. Does this complicate things? Yes, until we make another observation. When we're at work, we're really interacting in 2 distinct, very different cultures at the same time: the individual and the organizational, private and public. We bring our individual culture, our gender, race, age, beliefs, with us to the workplace. There we encounter an organizational culture with systems, rules, history, and beliefs of its own. We're shaped by these 2 cultures our whole lives. As individuals, we develop, we learn, we observe similarities and differences. As members of groups, we're also given rights, rules, and expectations. It's the clashing of all our different cultures that gets us into trouble. If we're 2 individuals having a disagreement, That's human nature. If we're two individuals with some cultural prejudices, that complicates things. But if one of us individuals also represents the organizational culture, the power, then watch out.
Hey, you know, you have been doing so well lately. I was thinking about recommending a bonus.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you know,
I have been working pretty long hours.
The uncomfortable interplay between the powerful and the personal is precisely what makes sexual harassment such a traumatic, difficult issue.
Fred, it makes me feel really uncomfortable when you put your hands all over me like that.
Oh, I see. So then I imagine the thought of a bonus would make you really uncomfortable too, huh?
The formal definition of sexual harassment acknowledges both cultures. Creation of a hostile environment that interferes with an individual's work performance, or conduct that makes submission to sexual advances a basis for employment decisions.
This is one of the toughest issues in the workplace to work with because it goes right to the heart of how we define who we are.
George Simons is a consultant and author who encourages organizations to view their cultural diversity as a competitive advantage, not a liability.
Our concern, and particularly our concern with men and women partners at work, is not what you should avoid, but what you should do. There's a real difference between patriarchy, a social system which has cost women and men a lot, and masculinity, which is your and my ability to feel good about who we are as males.
Understanding our respective cultures is the first step to better relationships in the workplace. The second is effective communication to get us over, around, and through those culture clashes, those times when who we are as individuals and the roles we play in organizations collide.
More people in the workplace complain about put-downs based on gender than of sexual harassment.
For sales organizations, it's very important to have a diverse group of personalities. Why? Because the clients are all different. And how a male-female sales staff relate to each other, very honestly, I think it's a heck of a lot more fun to have men and women on a sales team than all women.
Today, our workplaces run on information, service, and good communication. The more points of view, the better the exchanges, the better the productivity and the working environment, and the more fun. Good communication between men and women doesn't mean walking on eggshells. It means sensitivity and mutual respect.
Maria, what's the status on the exhibits?
Everything left by truck this morning.
Great.
People are as diverse in their communication styles as they are in their cultural backgrounds. Our language and gestures need to include everyone in a comfortable atmosphere of mutual respect.
As you know, because of budgetary restraints, we're going to have to be doubling up on rooms this year.
Oh, well then, can I share a room with you, Nancy?
That's all right, Fred. I think Maria and I have it all straight.
Well, you know, the girls are going to need their beauty sleep anyway. You know, they're not going to be able to keep up with the party boys.
My pet peeves around the workplace are usually communication pet peeves, independent of whoever does it. So a series of assumptions that are erroneous, that cause problems later, disturb me.
In this case, Fred assumes the sense of humor that works with men works equally well with women. His assumptions are wrong.
You just need to tell him about it. The girls need their beauty sleep. Come on. He's not necessarily a bad guy. You just need to talk straight with him. Easier said than done.
If I'm dealing with a colleague and I'm picking up unequal behavior, or I'm picking up a sense either overtly or covertly that I'm not being treated the same way, then I need to explain the situations in which I have seen this happen. I need to lay out my concerns, and I need to lay out a strategy for changing.
There's no substitute for straight talk. More often than not, communications problems are based on mistaken assumptions, not an intent to hurt or put somebody else down.
I'd like to try to explain my point of view to you.
Well, I understand. You don't like my sense of humor, you know, and that's okay.
Fred, I actually do like your sense of humor.
Well, then what's the big deal?
It's taken me a long time as a woman to become a manager of this company.
Well, you do great.
This company is not used to women managers. And it hurts my credibility when you call me a girl when I'm trying to conduct a meeting.
Yeah, I guess it does. You know, I'm sorry.
And sleeping arrangements. Don't you think that we need to handle that in a business-like manner in a mixed group?
Well, there's one standard for women and there's another one for men.
Fred, there's always been a double standard, and it's usually worked to the advantage of men. We're trying to set a new standard now that includes everybody and puts nobody down.
We're fooling ourselves if we don't acknowledge the cultural biases that are already built into most organizations today. They're changing, gradually, but they're still there. Chief among them is the dominance of the male in our business culture, especially the white male. The myths and metaphors that have shaped white male experience over the years have been projected onto our organizations, turning many executive suites especially into comfortable, elite clubhouses.
I always think of doing cross-cultural work as like peeling an onion, okay? You take off one layer, you take off another layer. It still looks the same, you know, till you've taken out quite a few layers, and you're crying all the time. Because it's painful work. It has to do with our identity.
The irony isn't lost on George Simons, that as an apostle of diversity, he's taking on a system of which he himself is a product.
I, as a trainer and a consultant, I'm really excited when I'm working with a woman who is as strong as I am and whose strengths are different than mine. It makes us a great team, and my world grows.
Doing things differently needs to be okay. And difference does not equal inferior. Difference simply means different. Just because it doesn't look like it used to doesn't mean it's not as good.
Our modern workplaces need to be reflections of the customers and the markets they serve. In a global, information-based economy, you don't gain productivity and win business with industrial-age organizations.
I think the future, and I guess I talk about the company with a future and the employee with a future, is an organization that is more generically focused on competencies, on the core competencies rather than the structure.
Professional change managers like Cynthia Scott see today's progressive organizations putting new emphasis on their people, their human capital. Those people are valued for their core competencies like communication skills, for their diverse experiences which provide more creativity, and for their ability to create and maintain customer relationships.
The older structures, the more hierarchical, traditional, worked quite well in one world. But our world looks very different now, since everybody is not the same, and people have different styles of communication, and combined with the economic changes and downsizing that so many organizations are going through, they can no longer run the way they used to.
Communication leads to collaboration, where people working together get more results than individuals working alone. That's a vision that positively demands revitalized, enthusiastic partnerships between men and women at work. And it's the vision we're going to leave you with next.
Tomorrow's leadership will be based on attitudes, values, and the ability to improve health, innovation, and productivity in the workplace.
I like that idea. Any comments, Fred?
Sure, I'll go along with it. I think it makes great sense.
Great. You think it'll really work in the whole scheme?
The key to collaboration today is to use our individual differences to the team's advantage. Beyond those old stereotypical roles, there are rich experiences and talents that truly empower a real team.
Okay, I do have one problem with our profit projections.
Oh yeah, what? Are they too low?
I wish. I ran a spreadsheet last night, and our materials costs are way too low.
In a collaborative environment, individuals can flourish and defy typecasting. No commandment insists that men be logical and women be caring. Our potential is infinitely greater than that.
Okay, so what do you suggest we do about that?
Well, I think we can cover the costs by pricing. So, you know, I'll have to check into it and I'll let you know tomorrow.
Great.
There's a nice little bonus here, too. As men and women get more comfortable working together inside an organization, they're also developing the people skills and the confidence that will help them with their customer relationships outside of the organization.
What you can create together, how you can learn from each other, how valuing the diversity of men and women in the workplace can create a better bottom line, a happier place to work, a more exciting, creative place to work. That's what we're after.
You'll get the collaboration you need with two key skills. Learn to ask and tell, not dictate, so you can elicit thoughts and feelings. And use straight talk to establish your expectations and commitments. As men and women collaborate more in the workplace, our sensitivity to different points of view will grow. So will the perception that there are plenty of other differences at work besides gender. There will always be issues and differences when individuals and organizations interact. It's human nature. And the more you're sensitized to them, the more you'll see them as opportunities, not obstacles. Keep in mind this idea of human capital, that our relationships, both inside and outside of our organizations, are equity. To keep that capital account growing, invest in your people skills. Good luck, and thank you for your attention.